Ahlan wa sahlan. Assalamu alaikum. Masa al khair. Good afternoon. You're here for a very exciting session. How will India lead a greener tomorrow? When we look, India is the world's most populous country. When we look at the power generation, people think, oh, coal, oh, state-controlled companies. It has, at this point, the national grid that serves 416 gigawatts worth of generating capacity. But think again, because things are changing, and they're changing really rapidly. As of the 31st of May, 57% of installed capacity were in the hands of the private sector. So gone is the monopoly of the state electricity board. 41.4% were non-fossil fuel plants, including hydro, and that's really growing. It's solar and wind accounted for 30.2%, and I'm sure by now it's 32% because it's growing so fast. Under the government's 23 to 27 national electricity plan, India will not build any more fossil fuel plants. These new plants, according to one of my panelists, amount to an opportunity of $1 trillion between now and 2030 in terms of debt and equity financing. So all of you who are not listening, I think $1 trillion are worth listening. Without further ado, I'm going to go right to my panelists and start asking them questions. The first person I'm asking questions is Pratik Agarwal. He's managing director of Sterlite Power and director of Serentica. Mr. Agarwal, we've seen you have a new power, a new plan for the country. How does the new framework enable a green revolution and the construction of new renewable power generation? Because we need a framework to put it all under, don't we?
Thank you very much. Just by way of background, I run two businesses in India. One is renewable generation, supplying to large commercial and industrial customers in India. Second is power transmission concessions in India and Brazil. So I think the most exciting thing about renewables in India is that there's a vision at the top, right? There's this 500 gigawatt by 2030 vision that is there from the Prime Minister and is sort of inculcated in every department, every ministry. And everybody knows that, that vision is of paramount importance. I think from there flows, in my view, one of the best policy environments. I don't know if Vineet agrees, but what I've seen, one of the best policy regulatory environments to encourage the investment in renewables across the emerging markets and maybe even beyond that. And, recently I was with the large buyer of green power at Amazon, and she's based in Singapore, and she said the same thing, that of all the markets she covers, India has done one of the best jobs. So what has it done? I think there are several things. One is this really strong central procurement of renewable capacity. So you've got a strong central counterparty that procures renewables and then sells that to the 50 distribution companies, thereby eliminating counterparty risk for investors. I think the transmission grid being rock solid, right? You have a 3,000 by 2,000 kilometer country, and you can inject power anywhere in the country and draw it anywhere else in the country. Now, of course, we are building quickly to catch up with the demand, but I think that's doing really well. And lastly, there are SOPs, right? So instead of giving tax SOPs, there's free transmission, which extends for 25 years if you build renewable for the next few years. So I think this combination is going to eventually lead us to building 30, 40 gigawatts of transmission every year for the next 7, 10 years.
That's ambitious, and it's audacious. And we've learned this morning that audacity is a good thing. Now, the next person is Mr. Vineet Mittal, who is the chairman of the Avaada group in India. And I got the $1 trillion number from you. It stuck, I'm an economist. You give me a big number, it sticks. Can you just delineate sort of in terms of the proportion, in terms of the size, the magnitude?
So if you look at India, like Pratik said, there is a huge opportunity backed by amazing policies. And whether you look at, you want to build solar power plants, You want to build wind power plants, you want to do water batteries, you want to do normal batteries, you want to build green ammonia, green methanol, green hydrogen. You name it, India has policies for investor to support and make them successful. And when I said to you that it's a $1 trillion opportunity, I think the way country is moving, we might exceed those numbers because we are attracting global investor. There's not a single top global investor who is not present in India, right from likes of KKR to Carlyle to Blackstone, Bloomberg, Brookfield, you name anyone, and from Middle East, PIF, which is local here, Adia, Mubadala, Masdar, everyone is coming to India in green energy because we are the fastest growing economy and we want to grow green and responsibly. And to grow green and responsibly, we have to prepare the infrastructure first before investment in other sectors can come. And that's where the large opportunity is coming. So it's the opportunity for equipment supplier, material supplier, EPC vendor. So you name it, the entire value chain is buzzing with activity. So I tell my investors that you are in the right country, at the right time, in the right industry, and with the right entrepreneur to attract their investment.
That is great. I think you should do what you're doing, but you should also become sort of the chief PR agent for India. I think that would be very good. Now we've talked about the size of the opportunity. Opportunity is one thing, but then getting it done is the other thing, right? And that's how I come back to you, Mr. Agarwal. What are the policy solutions? Because you are supplying mainly to big industrial users. What are the technology solutions to ensure 24/7 power for green green energy for intensive industries? Who are the leaders in that technology?
So I think I think the big sort of holy grail for renewable penetration in the world is how do you really get to 24/7 true green supply? And by that I don't mean through the carbon sequestration. I mean just producing green power. I don't believe anybody in the world has really cracked it yet. And to me, it's not so much about a new technology, but it's how do you have the perfect combination of technologies. So if you think about it, there are 9,000 roughly 15-minute blocks in a year. And you think of a big jigsaw puzzle of 9,000 pieces, and how do you fill each of those puzzles with a green piece? And most people have got to about 80% with wind and solar. The last 20% is all about long duration storage. Pumped hydro is something that's growing in India. It's an old technology and sort of regaining importance because it's on a per unit basis still the cheapest long duration storage that we could find. We believe other solutions like geothermal as well as some nuclear, but eventually batteries, which is both flow batteries and lithium batteries, will be that solution. So I think the smart companies are the ones who are going to be able to find that perfect recipe of 4 or 5 technologies to actually be able to give true 24/7 power.
How good are you on the battery side? Because that's still a bit...
See, the largest battery companies in the world are in China, which is lithium batteries. So I think at least what India or what we are doing yet, we're not yet there in terms of producing our own advanced battery chemistry. We are sort of taking the best of what's available and figuring out how to apply it. So I think we're really creating policy environments to really foster investments in round-the-clock renewable energy, and by choosing the best of what's available in the world and deliver those solutions.
Okay, integrated solutions, in other words. And now coming back to the Chief Propaganda Officer for the green sector. One thing is an investment opportunity. The other thing is financing the investment opportunity, right? How can it be financed? Who will be the big players, domestic and foreign?
So if you look at from financing angle, India can take advantage of every source of wealth, whether it is coming from foreign shareholder or domestic. And we are blessed to have a very high saving habits. So basically what is happening is large portion of our infrastructure over the past 2 decades is built by the local entrepreneurs, largely supported by the local debt market and external financing from multilateral banks, from private equity funds, from pension funds, from infrastructure fund. All of them are doing their bit because the opportunity is so large. No one can ignore the opportunity of energy transition, infrastructure transition. But more and more, I'm seeing that very few companies are going to the global bond market to tap into it. It's probably addressing 4 to 5% of the total need for the debt. On the equity side, our stock market is very vibrant. Yeah. Pratik himself became the role model of the industry when he's monetized the asset and listed his operating transmission lines in the form of infrastructure trust. So people are willing to try new instrument. It has attracted a lot of young people who are not scared of taking challenges. So when you take challenges, you deliver on those challenges, your credibility goes stronger. So, so the capital is no more a constraint. If you walk the talk, you deliver what you promise to shareholder. Despite having various challenges, investors are coming and bankers are willing to support.
Does the higher interest rate environment pose a constraint?
Obviously, we always wanted to have the similar interest rate to the West, and probably West was the one who was responsible for causing loss of a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. So they should have supported India and other emerging economy in providing credit enhancement, first loss guarantees. But I think inflation is the greatest enabler. Right now, if you look at when I talk to my friends in the US, they talk, how do you guys do it? First time we are borrowing at 7 and 7.5%, and we can't sustain a tariff. So I think what is the need is that whole world to have similar interest rate regime, and the risk should be adjusted into the equity, at least in the transition space. Yeah. So people know the real cost of decarbonization. The challenge is that the global north has always been teaching countries like India, Indonesia, etc., do this, do that. But they never had to fund it. And it's the local economy who is funding it. And first time when they are seeing the real interest cost in those geographies going up, that's becoming a challenge. And I think now since it has become the global challenge, we will see some form of global solution. When it was just pinching global south, people did not bother so much.
Okay, that's very true. Now, I'm coming back to you. Can you sort of say the competitive landscape on the renewable thing? What is it, domestic and foreign, and how do you fit into it?
So India is a pretty competitive market. You know, we have our 2 companies and at least 20 other companies running after sort of similar opportunities. But I think competition is always relative, right? It's relative to the size of the opportunity. If you truly look at the size of the opportunity, frankly, I don't think there is that much competition. India is unique, right? We are decarbonizing while we're still providing basic electricity to people. Many of my customers are happy to just get 24/7 power. And the fact that it's green is a cherry on the cake for them. It's not,
no,
you know, they're just happy to get 24/7 power.
That's the thing with energy poverty, right?
Exactly.
And energy poverty is actually, in terms of the environment, the worst thing. Because people go and chop down trees.
Exactly.
It's the clean cooking, right? People die when they cook. It's really bad.
So we have a 400 billion unit market in India just being consumed by commercial and industrial establishments, right? Which is, I don't know how many tens of billions of dollars annual opportunity. And in my mind, that is the largest dissatisfied market in the world. which companies like ours get to solve and satisfy them with 24/7 green power. In my view, there isn't enough competition yet, given the size.
Okay, that's great. And the last question goes to you, very short. Great opportunity, enough there for everybody. What are the pitfalls? There are always pitfalls.
No, in a country like ours, which is democracy, we respect other points of view. So when you are building a large transmission line or large solar project or wind project, you are buying a lot of land. You are crisscrossing the entire country, so there are challenges with land acquisition, there are challenges with right of way, and the industry is growing so rapidly, the skilling the people is taking a lot of time. So I think challenges are very well known, but the solutions are worked by the private sector in partnership with the government institutions and government organization. And India is at the cusp where now we will take off in a much bigger way, because like Pratik's company, they are building transmission ahead of time. If you go to the US, they take 5 years to give grid connectivity for 500 megawatt. Our government gives us in 8 weeks. So the challenges are becoming the opportunity, and opportunity is solving for the biggest problem, which is poverty. Because the more electrified India is, it's inversely proportional to poverty, and it will provide job for many.
That's absolutely true, because energy poverty is depriving people of a decent life. Absolutely. Now we have just a little bit more time, and I'm going to give each of you in 2 sentences. If you had all these people here and you want them to invest in the greener India, what would sort of be the key 3 arguments you would give them to come and invest with you?
I think, if you think of fundamental services like telecommunication, data, or even like transport, like aviation, airlines, right? If you think of where a country like India was 20 years ago, where everything was really expensive and poor quality of service, and then it opened up, it deregulated, and you created companies whose aggregate market cap is perhaps $100 billion, right, in each of these sectors. In my view, that's exactly what's happening in India today. You've got a fundamental commodity, which is the green electron, which is getting opened up for private participation, which was till now completely monopolized by government discoms. And you've got an incredible opportunity, which I think is 10 times bigger than the telecom opportunity was 20 years ago. So there's very few opportunities as big as that in the world.
In other words, you've walked the talk. You showed that you can do it in other sectors. You have your pitch.
So anyone who believes in green future and green fuel as the way forward should invest in India. India has the largest talent pool for the world to make green fuels. Most of the technology companies in green fuels are based in India, whether it's engineering, EPC, researcher, and execution companies. So India offers tremendous opportunity for green electron, green molecule, green talent, and global talent. So if you are not part of India's story, you will miss out on a great opportunity to make higher returns on your capital employed by doing good karma and good deed. Thank you.
That's excellent. So I'll just quickly sum up what I've heard, because, this was really good. First of all, it's the vision from the top. And we see that also with Vision 2030. We've seen it in UAE. Once you have that vision from the top, things move. And so you have sort of best policy environment possible. You have a central procurement with the grid. And as you once pointed out to me in a telephone conversation, you have a grid that's really fully connected. It's not a grid in Texas and then a grid in Ohio and so on. It's a fully connected grid. So it's a huge opportunity for wind and power. It's a great opportunity in terms of global investors, both on the debt side and the equity side. In terms of the technology, you have The thing is to find out integrated solutions to guarantee 24/7, especially to large industrial users. When we then look, it's a very competitive environment, and you decarbonize. You've basically shown that you can do it because you've deregulated telecoms and so on, and it became hundreds of billions of dollars worth of things. So you walk the talk. So that's a great thing. It's a green future, and what I liked from you is you mentioned the talent pool. That's important. So the green electron, the green molecule, and the local and the global talent, together with the great vision, will get it done. Well, thank you very much. Can you give this great panel a great round of applause, please?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have Indian celebrity Vivek Oberoi here. So see the green commitment. Vivek, come here. So see, it's not just in our bureaucracy and entrepreneurs. Even our actor and actresses are inspired by the power of green. And that's why he came here to hear.
Very nice.
Welcome.
You're a naughty guy.
I think we have to leave the stage.
You said 5 minutes.